Hello and welcome back to a tutorial that focuses on my workflow for my one-place study of South Molton Street. We're back here in Claude having a look at the last piece of comparison that I did in the previous tutorial. And I just want a copy of all of that now, including the insights at the end, just by clicking copy that collects everything. I'm now going to take that over to Google Gemini and use it for some planning. My prompt is, here's the analysis of the census records for this street from 1881 to 91. Please prepare a guide for my next research project based on this comparison data. And then I simply pasted in what Claude had given me. Once again, we need to check whether we want to use specific tools. And in this case, I'm going to choose Canvas, which gives me a downloadable separate document from its output. It's currently set to a fast mode, but for this one, we could use the thinking mode. We'll do that, and then we'll execute. Keeping in mind that in the instructions for this particular notebook, it's called, not a project, I have added the same settings that I did for Claude, so it knows how to deal with the genealogical data from British records. So let's see how it goes with this, and I'll pause and wait for it to finish. That took just a couple of minutes to execute, and it's now come back with some interesting information about the census itself. But this is what I need, the handling of transcription challenges. We need to ensure that our research stays accurate. And this schema employs these specific handling rules, the verbatim versus standard split. So quite often phonetic spellings will come in and they may be inconsistent. Birthplaces may change over the years. So the solution here is always maintain a verbatim column for integrity and a standard column for sorting and filtering. And that prevents losing a person because their name was spelled differently in 1891. Age consistencies is also picked up. Archaic occupations, and handling the gaps. But it hasn't really given me what I'm looking for, which is a plan for my next research. Although it says here is a rationale for the design. We want to prioritize the identity and occupation. So the primary goal is to see who lived there and how they paid the rent. Logical grouping, by grouping origin, birthplace, fields together, migration patterns become visible. And then data integrity for amateurs. We often correct records as we transcribe them, but the schema forbids that, opting for verbatim fields. It then says, would you like me to generate a master comparison sheet for number 25? But no, that's not what I want. Let's reiterate and say, please create a research plan in tabular format for the specific people mentioned in comparisons. See how it goes with that. So now Gemini has come back with a research plan for me for 1225 South Moulton Street. And the focus is on tracking the transition. I'm not sure where that name came from. I need to check. To the Cheera family, the tailors and dressmakers. And we can use Gemini and Claude for all kinds of things here. And one thing that we might want to do whilst we're over here in Gemini, is start a new chat, still inside this notebook, and just ask for some historical context for South Moulton Street in 1881 and 1891, around the time of the census. And I believe that was in April in England. So let's see what it will give us. I'm expecting it to go out and research the web to bring back an answer for this. And it's still in thinking mode. I'll just give it a minute. And towards the end of this response from Gemini, we get the historical context that we're after. And it notes that St. George, Hanover Square, was a bustling centre for skilled trades and middle-class residents during the late 19th century. And on Census Day, which it's picked out as being April 3rd, so it's gone back in its knowledge base to find that out. The street was characterised by trade households. And in 1891, the census on April 5, the street had seen a shift towards more specialised services, including dressmakers and tailors. And the environment was influenced by its proximity to luxury hubs like Claridge's Hotel and the modernisation of nearby Oxford Street. And so that might prompt me to reiterate and find out a bit more about Claridge's. So we'll ask it to provide a brief history. Claridge's Hotel in that era. And that took a couple of minutes, but it's given us an interesting insight into Claridge's, that it was a collection of private townhouses and then moved into the premier destination for royalty and the wealthy. Expanded by 1898 into a massive modern red brick building designed by Stevens. The scale, unlike nearby competitors like Buckland's Hotel, which remained in traditional Georgian townhouse style, Claridge's underwent significant modernisation to increase its scale. The social standing, the Charles Booth's social surveys of that era categorised it in the yellow bracket. That is the highest classification representing the upper class and exceptionally wealthy, and then goes on to look at its reputation and clientele and local impact. So we've got quite a lot of data that we can add into our story for this one place study, being very close to Claridge's Hotel.